Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we figure out how to build and run a SaaS. I'm Brian.
And I'm Benedikt. Each week we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we work on our products and keep the lights on by using candles instead of lights. Today is December 22nd and I'm feeling relaxed.
Excellent. This is episode number 71 and I am feeling rested. Glad you're feeling relaxed.
Just decided to do nothing this week. Well, sort of. Like at least not work on any new feature. So try to launch something or finish something. But still working though.
So what'd you decide to hammer out?
Well, the database got hammered, so I had to upgrade the database earlier today. But other than that,
for a good reason or because somebody was just...
Well, I guess overall growth.
Nice. Yeah.
It seems like the database always wants to be like database expenses want to be like 10 to 15% of our MRR. So when MRR grows, database wants to catch up.
Yeah. Hey, did you end up getting? You weren't feeling well last week. Did you end up?
I saw a doctor the next day, and she checked my throat and stuff, but it was like, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. You probably don't need like antibiotics or something.
Okay. All right, cool.
So it was fine.
Good.
It didn't go away. It's still not fully good. Like it still feels a little bit awkward, but it didn't get bad. Like I didn't get any fever or had to totally stop doing anything. So it was fine.
Yeah, good deal. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so the database, you're trying to figure some stuff out there, had to fix that up. What else?
Yeah. It's funny. Like by now, I noticed the early signs of the database being too small, running into the memory limits, because I start to get like notifications that stuff is going slower than usual, and it's still. I think this time I caught it early enough and didn't wait until things were falling over.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, it's painful. Like upgrading the database, we are using Heroku Postgres, and at this stage, like upgrading is basically doubling the monthly expenses. Okay. It's not quite double that, but close enough. So it's like it's expensive and hurts a little bit to make that upgrade.
Yeah. Is have you gotten feedback from other folks in the Tiny Seed, either in your cohort or the mentors, that you know what, 10 to 15% of your costs going to database for a business like yours, that's kind of expected?
I haven't asked, to be honest. But I mean, we're processing a lot of data and storing a lot of data and doing a lot of work with data. So it's not surprising that it's like one of the biggest categories of expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't feel wrong still. That being said, like using Heroku Postgres is probably not the cheapest option.
That was the next thing I was going to ask.
But I looked into Amazon RDS earlier today, because I was like, maybe this is a way, like we can switch to that. But to be honest, like the savings aren't that significant. Like I try to guesstimate like what a similar setup would look like on RDS and what that would cost, and it's not that much cheaper. Like it's maybe $100-$200 per month cheaper.
Interesting. Okay.
But it comes with a lot of open questions, like how do backups work? How do like failovers work? Like all those things that Heroku just solves for you are kind of unknowns. And I'm not sure if it's worth saving a little bit of money and then running into other problems and falling on the face basically next time something goes wrong. So I feel like the point of like there will be a point in time where it makes sense to switch to something else, and maybe even running our own servers with own database software on there. But I don't think it's now. I think we have other problems to solve
Yeah,
first.
yeah, yeah, sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay, that's the other interesting thing you said in there is that you can you kind of see it coming now. Um, so what exactly does that look like?
So we run AppSignal for performance monitoring.
Okay.
And what they do is I've basically got alerts for queue time in the background queue and as well as job count. And we reevaluate all our segments once per day, at least once per day,
Mhm.
or when other stuff changes. And I can see that at night when we start reevaluating stuff, that I'm starting to see those notifications come in where queue time is over half a minute, and it resolves itself within like 20 minutes or so.
Right.
But it's like an early indicator that stuff is getting slower.
Getting ready to happen.
And then today I noticed that even just like browsing the UI for some pages got slower. And then looking into the database, it was obvious that load average on the database server went up, and IO operations went up as well, which is usually a sign that
Yeah. Yep.
the database,
Yeah.
like, I mean, the database size itself is way bigger than we have memory. But I think the thing where it falls over is when one of the large indexes doesn't fit into memory anymore, and then stuff gets really slow because
Right.
then even index lookups aren't fast anymore because it's swapping
Yep.
data from disk and back to memory and back and forth, and that slows things down noticeably, especially on like across all queries. Like there are queries that are slow by nature because they are super complex, but like even the simple ones get slower because of course the database is busy with other stuff, and
Mhm.
that's usually just the time when we need to upgrade. So I did that today because I felt like, hey, Christmas is coming up. You don't want to upgrade the
You
database
don't wanna
on
be messing
Christmas Eve or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. Probably a good call. Well, it would be really interesting to hear from other people who are, you know, running at least a similar style
Yeah,
of SaaS. Like, what percentage of your revenue goes to storage? What goes to, uh, database processing? What goes to, I don't know, what are the other, things you guys are paying for? It'd
yeah.
be pretty fascinating to see that breakdown.
I should probably start asking around about that because it would be interesting to see,
Mhm.
like, is there something like, are we doing something obviously wrong and spending way too much?
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, it's kind of be expected that it will get more expensive the more data we process. So
Yeah. Yep.
it doesn't feel wrong. It just doesn't feel good to spend more money on the database.
If it keeps you from, trying to put out a fire on Christmas Eve, probably
Yeah,
money well
yeah,
spent, but yeah,
yeah.
no, point
I think
point
so too.
taken, point taken. What else? Okay, so you didn't try to roll out any new features at all?
Well, I'm not working on features this week. Like it's Christmas week, so
Mhm.
I'm trying to take it slow.
Yep.
Just do a little bit of customer support, do calls and stuff that are already scheduled, but not push myself to finish something or get this one thing fixed or whatever. It's just like deal with what comes up, but not put more work in than absolutely necessary, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But last week, I finally rolled out the company triggers that I've been talking about for a while.
Nice. Yep. To everybody?
Now I still behind the feature flag, but I rolled it out. They're there now, and I talked to at least one customer. Yeah, one customer is using them, and he already had a lot of good feedback about things I didn't I didn't think about. So once again, it
All good.
proves valuable to get
Yeah.
it in people's hands earlier
Yep.
than otherwise. But yeah, you raised a lot of good questions. For example, now that we have company data in there, he wanted to reference company data in the emails, which is kind of obvious, but that code wasn't even in there, so I had to add that one after the fact. And of course, the next follow-up question was, yeah, and how do I get company data in the previews, so you can preview preview emails based on user data, where you can search for user and then show the email in the context of that particular user. And of course, now he needs to also select the company for to match up. And that was something I totally did not have on my radar at all. It makes
Well,
total sense.
that's the great thing about shipping it.
Yeah,
Well, now
yeah.
you know the thing you should
Now I
build.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all a guess.
So, yes, I think long story short is ship early, ship often,
Mhm.
ship behind feature flag, and get real customers to use it. Yeah.
Well, congrats on that
Yeah.
step.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Feels good to get it out there before the end of the year.
Did anything else come of Jane's interviews?
um,
I think last week you were saying, you know,
yeah.
have done many of them, but there's no, like, clear, obvious thing to do.
Yeah. I think we still have to do like one last round of summary and
Mhm.
analysis.
Yep.
But I guess our gut feeling goes to going down the marketing route. Um, let's like I'm not committing, but
Yeah.
um, it came up a couple times, and even paying customers are basically hinting us, pushing us into the direction of, hey, it would be super nice if I could just use user list for all my emails. Um, so maybe it's the most reasonable thing to do,
Mhm.
especially as it doesn't involve that many new features. Like, sure, like to be able to like fully promote it as an ESP, like marketing ESP,
Yeah.
there's still a couple of things we have to do, but I think it's easier to break down into small chunks and like roll them out one by one. For example, first thing would be to just update our terms of services to not prohibit marketing emails. That would be like a good first step in the direction. And then right now we require a user identifier for every user,
Yeah.
and basically lifting that limitation so we can just like subscribe people with just an email address, and like basically slowly work our way into that direction. And
Mhm.
the more like early adopter users can start using it without us being feature complete, because they don't need forms, they can just like do API calls themselves and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
um
Do you I haven't looked recently. Are is are you metering email? Like, are you charging by emails, or is it only by users right now? Like, your account tiers are set only by users,
yeah,
right? Okay.
right now it's only by users.
And unlimited emails per month.
Yeah, unlimited
Okay.
emails per month. um Initially we were worried about email cost, and
Okay.
we had like limitations on amount of emails you can send, but it turned out to be like, compared to the database, sending email
It's
is
nothing compared to that Heroku database. Yeah.
well, no, not exactly. I mean, they're still in the same range, well, in the
Yeah.
same magnitude, but it's a lot cheaper than we anticipated in the beginning. And also turns out it's rarely a problem. Like, people don't send that many emails. Um, and yeah, for now sounds like, it looks like it's fine.
That could be
And that's
pretty darn interesting if you are then allow them to be able to cancel a different service, you know?
yeah,
But I don't know. How many of those people are also like have somewhat sophisticated sequences and workflows through email campaigns?
I guess there are some people who have significant setups elsewhere, but I think the people who are requesting this don't have like
Mm.
significant setups anywhere else. It sounds more like they have something else because they kind of need something else for the
Yeah.
marketing list, but
Mhm.
it's not like they are putting a lot of effort in there
Okay.
because
They just
otherwise
wanna
they
be able
could
to
just,
send their marketing blast from user list
yeah,
as well. Yeah.
instead of maintaining two tools, just
Mhm.
maintain one. And it's totally reasonable. I think it's like it's one of those things that people mentioned since day one, basically. Um, and it sounds like it looks like it's the easiest path to go down to, and yeah, maybe we'll do it. Like no final decision yet, but I think
Sure.
our gut, both of our gut feelings are like, yeah, let's explore this a little bit more and see what we can,
Well, that'll be, yeah, really
yeah,
interesting to see, first of all, what y'all decide, and if you
yeah,
do, if it suddenly becomes a no-brainer for a segment of people.
yeah, yeah. What's interesting is like some of the people and like the number of like examples or people who actually said it is relatively low, but we had someone we talked to who was like super into, yeah, this needs to be a customer support thing, I need live chat, and otherwise it doesn't make any sense. And
Hmm.
when Jane mentioned that we're thinking about doing this, it suddenly clicked in their mind and they were like, ah, interesting, yeah, I can see using that even without live chat and
Mhm.
help desk and stuff like that. And yeah, that was kind of was a bit encouraging because it's the easier change to make, and apparently like it changes the positioning a little bit, and suddenly they don't compare us to Intercom anymore, but they compare us to their marketing ESP, and maybe that's the better category to compete in. Who knows? I
Who
mean,
knows?
we'll have to see.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
And then there's Rob
Fuck.
who's like, don't do it, don't do
Oh, really? Why?
it. Just because emails are a pain, I
Uh-huh.
guess.
Yeah, he's been down that road.
Yeah, he's like, I
Hmm.
will never run a business like this. I mean, I get
Again,
his point.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, man. Well, can't wait to hear what you decide. Anything else? What's on the plate, for this week?
Yeah, Christmas is on the plate for this week.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing else.
Are you shutting it down end of today, or are you gonna do some work tomorrow and Friday?
I think I will probably still do some work. I think there's one call. No, we have one call tomorrow and then another one on Thursday. I'll probably attend those, but yeah, I hope that's it. I'm not planning to, as I said, not planning to do any major product
Yeah,
work. Just like
yeah.
show up for customer support and
Mhm.
sales calls, and that's it.
Nice.
And then yeah,
Well,
Friday I'll definitely take Friday off and
I would
the weekend for sure.
I would I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What's
Yeah.
happening in Brian's life?
Well,
The life of Brian.
nice. I've actually never seen that movie. A lot of people are probably screaming at
I
their,
think I saw it
podcast player right
once.
now. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, man. I have honestly not felt this at peace all year long.
Ah, that's good to hear.
Um, and, yeah, so I've just been really trying to take it easy. This new contract that I got has just been such a welcome change.
Mm,
Um, I mean, I was really optimistic about it as I was pitching it and could just see a way where I could deliver full-time value at half-time hours. Um, and so far that is turning out to be completely true. Um, and so, yeah, it's just a really nice currently. It is just a really great setup. They are very pleased with everything I'm doing, and it takes about half of my time per week, and
Ah, that's
hits
perfect.
100% of my monthly target. It is just such a welcome win. Um, and so that's just been this huge, weight off. And so yeah, I've been, the thing that we talked about a little while ago, just like remove the pressure to of feeling like I have to, do this solo entrepreneur thing, solo bootstrapped thing. Um, and so with a little bit of my extra time, I've been uh, co-designing this board game with a friend of mine, um, and just for fun. And it has been such a refreshing thing and change of pace. And just it scratches all the itches. It feels creative, it's collaborative, it's novel. Like
Mhm.
it's just the greatest right now. Um so cool. So cool.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what's it's about? I think you mentioned some of it in previous episodes, but to be honest, I
I
don't
I
recall the
don't think
details.
I don't think this one. I think I mentioned a while ago that I kind of like scrapped together a little like dungeon crawl, fighting monsters with magic game my youngest, to just
Yeah.
get him to do a bunch of math without realizing it. This one, the idea is basically it's a cooperative game where one person is a lost hiker and
Mm.
the other people are a search and rescue team. And
I think
so
you mentioned that one as well.
oh, did
Yeah.
I? Okay, alright, cool.
Yeah,
So
but tell me more. Tell me more.
well, the lost hiker, your job is basically to just try to survive. So you're trying to manage your water resources and your health. And so you, like as the hiker, you have a terrain tile. So you're like in the, grassy foothills. And so you can look for water, you can forage for materials, but you have no idea where you are. And so each time you go to a new tile, you're not building out a map, you're just replacing where you were.
Mhm.
Um, the search and rescue team, they know where they are, so they're going to be building out the map as they explore. And
Mhm.
so, they're gonna be, like, trying to find, hints and clues, signs of where the hiker is, and then eventually, if the search and rescue team manages to find the hiker, then it's a true co-op game, and you're trying to get back to the trailhead. But the first half or so of the game is basically the hiker just trying to survive all the mishaps like nocturnal predators and animal attacks, severe weather,
Mhm.
faulty gear. You lose all your water, out of control campfire. You lose two hearts unless you've crafted a shelter. So like that's basically the concept.
Mm. Okay.
Um, and so it's it's been so much fun, to collaborate on this thing. We've, like, scratched it out on some prototype, some blank playing cards and played through it, probably, I don't know, like 10 or a dozen or so times now. Um, and the first 2 or 3 were terrible, and now it's like, "Oh, this is kinda fun. This is pretty cool. I can really see the promise here." So um, okay, yeah, sorry. So that that side project has just been so refreshing and so rewarding. Um, and I'm fairly certain that I can say I will not be trying to solo bootstrap, a product anytime soon.
Mhm.
So which is different from saying Headlamp is dead, and I don't think that there's anything for it, or that it doesn't have a future. It's just that I do think right now I'm not interested in trying to do it alone.
Yeah.
And so, um, so here's my proposal, because what does that mean for Brian and Slow and Steady? The podcast where you follow along. So we try to figure out how to bootstrap a SaaS. Um, My proposal is that my side of this story now becomes an honest peek into my life as I try to recover from burnout by designing a board game for fun.
Sounds sounds good. I'm up
Okay.
for that.
Um, and so the the updates will be, because it's actually so similar to trying to build a web app from scratch. Um, like the podcasts I'm listening to now are, yeah, how do you self-publish a board game? Well, you need to start off by, finding a community, contribute to the community, try and build up some sort of an audience so that when you have something to launch, that there are people ready to to back it on Kickstarter and et cetera. And everybody's like, get it, don't over design it, get it to the table. Like you are talking about building an app. So uh, it's so funny that that does feel like there's a ton of overlap, but yeah, a bucket list, like checked item has for a little while been for me to to design and publish a board game that I can hold in my hand and play with my friends and family. So it feels like that's definitely where I want to point my creative energy for a little while, because I can feel it rejuvenating me,
Mhm.
and in a way that trying to build this thing on the side hasn't in a while.
So you mentioned a couple things, and I was too scared to ask it earlier, but now I'm going to ask. So you mentioned publishing, audience, Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Um, are you building another business?
No, 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 no. I'll say it again. No. Um, so and I also say, like, even doing Kickstarter, um, is is not even a definite or a given. Like, so my friend who I'm co-designing this with, um, he and his wife are also self-employed entrepreneurs. They're wedding photographers. Um, and so we've joked about it, how we both just have this default thing of, oh, this would be cool. How could we so how would you design a business around this? No, 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 no. Don't do that. This is just for fun. This is just for fun. If we design this and it is fun to play and we each put in $450 each and have 50, a run of 50 made and give it away, cool. That will have been worth it.
Okay.
Um, and so that is that is the current position.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I was a little bit worried that
Yes.
essentially replacing code with pen and paper, but nothing
Yeah.
else changes.
Yeah, totally. No, no, no,
I
no.
mean, which I'm not saying that is the wrong thing, a wrong thing to do, but
Mhm.
I was a little bit worried that you'd run into the same problems that
Yeah.
you run into with a software business
Yep.
as well. So
You are a good friend and wise for pointing that out. And so hold me to that. I mean, if, 4 months down the road, it has felt like a completely rejuvenating experience, and yeah, actually we could build a page and throw it up on Kickstarter, that and see, then great. But that's
yeah,
definitely not that's not a current goal.
okay,
It would be a success to just have a printed version of the game that we could each hold in our hand and give to some friends and family. Done. Cool.
yeah, that sounds like a good first goal.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I have like, I'm worrying if we should talk about like more of the about the how to, because I have no idea like how do you even approach something like
Mm.
this? Like, how do you come up with a good idea, and how do you figure out the mechanics? I mean, is it is it mostly adapting concepts from games you already know, and or
Y Yeah, I mean, it's a combination for sure. Do you play a lot of board games?
I don't play a lot of board games. I only well only a couple years ago started to enjoy it again, or
Yeah,
even
yeah.
like as a kid, I've been not good at playing any types of board games because I got upset way too fast.
Nice.
If I wasn't winning, then I'd get super mad, and that removed the joy of playing for everyone else, as well as for me. So
Yeah,
I wasn't into board games until I was able to manage my response to losing.
yes. Yeah, it's helpful to always remember that it's just a game.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, even if you lose, then it was fun to try to solve a puzzle for a little while. I mean, we can definitely always go into more in depth on this, later for sure. But I will just say, like, in short, that yeah, what I've been doing is first, like, just starting with the theme, you know. And so we were on a camping trip, and I was like, "Ooh, that would be a fun game, like, if you got lost and then other people are trying to find you. Okay, so what does that mean?" And then so having the theme in mind and mapping that to certain game mechanics that you're familiar with, then okay, this, like, what sort of map building does the hiker have that makes sense to the theme? What sort of map building does the rescue team have that makes sense to the theme? How do you do hand management? What's, like, the crafting pool and drafting from that deck look like based on, like, the things that you have in your hand? And so yeah, it's like a bit of starting with the story and then thinking about mechanics that work in other games and blending them all together to create something hopefully unique that's really fun. So anyway, when I have like a playable version on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia or something, which are these platforms that basically make it pretty easy to build a prototype that people can play online, I will for sure
Nice.
show it your way.
I wasn't aware that that is even a thing, but now that you mention it, it kind of makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yep.
awesome.
So I mean, I guess, reach out and let us know. Is that at all compelling? Um, an honest peek into my life as I try to recover from burnout by doing something purely for fun. Um, because yeah, that's where my head's at the moment.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm a little bit jealous, to be honest.
I think we said this last week. I'm a little, I'm a little bit
Yeah,
jealous that you have some
yeah,
actual MRR and something to try to build. I mean, that's just the whole point. It's just like I think being content with where you are, being present, but it's not easy to do.
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
terrible at it. Mm. All right. Well, that's all I've got. Are you anything else we need to cover on your side?
No, I don't think so. I think
Right on.
that's it for this week, and I think let's let us be the last episode of this year. Let's
Yeah.
skip next
Yeah.
week
Totally.
and then
Yeah. I like that.
be back in 2021.
Yes. The new year. Right on. Well, happy holidays. Get some rest and